ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and my fellow COVIDians. We're gonna shoot a quick video for this episode. Just gonna do some basic engine detailing. Not too much. Won't go on it too long. We'll keep the video going in the series. But as you can see, what is immediately noticeable with the model is, as the model was coming together, I noticed that the chrome pieces I had put on there and thought would look cool under the hood of the C900. As I looked at it and as the days went by and my eyes looked at it more and more, to me personally, it was too busy. The highlight of the build, the star of the build, I should say, is the actual truck, the rig, the C900, the gorgeous cab it's going to have, and the unique features it's going to have as far as fifth wheel fenders or mud guards or lack of mud guards, that type of thing. Not the engine. The engine's not going to be seen. It's going to be buried since it is a cab over. You're only going to see the ass part of it and maybe the back of the transmission bell housing, and that's about it. So I went ahead and sprayed the chrome details. Let me get a pointer stick here. I painted all the chrome details to match the rest of the engine. And immediately to my eyes, right now as I'm looking at this, it's very soothing to me. I did not have my eyes jumping all over all the chrome fixtures. I'm glad I went that way. I really, really am glad. I kept some things like the oil filter, air filter, distributor cap, and wires in their original colors because I feel they don't distract, and they set off, instead of a distraction of different chrome little pieces, it kind of just makes your eyes kind of move around, and that's about it to me anyways. Once again, I'm just talking out loud, and I just happen to be videotaping the thinking process for you guys right here. What we're going to do today is, if I may show you, let's put it down here so we could get it better. We discussed the air filter, the unique mods that the real one that I'm copying has, as opposed to what AMT provided in the kit, which, upon looking at many Google photographs online, that's AMT seems to have gotten it right there, and that's how it looks like how they came out of the factory. Maybe a different year, certain models came with that one ductwork that we talked about the other day, which I was able to replicate right here. Not only with the ductwork, the air filter that AMT provided was wrong for what I was trying to do. And I was finally able to kit bash one right here for you out of styrene. It's actually a wheel rim off of Lindbergh kit. So I got that right too. And here's the cool stuff I wanted to show you. The stuff that will be going on top of the air filter here, I was able to replicate it exactly. Also, using that straw, that folding straw method, I was able to create the correct flexible ductwork or bells or whatever you want to call it using that straw. I'll be painting that black once all the cement and the glue has dried in. When I attach this, I'll start painting it black, and actually I'm going to start painting like a dark gray, a weathered dark gray. So how it's going to go is kind of like this. We'll attach the top right now on camera, and then we'll let the glue start to set, or the cement. We'll work on the spark plug cables. As you can see, the spark plug cables on this side are done. We're going to work on the other side so you can watch how I do that and how other modelers do that as well. I'll talk about that when we get to it for right now. So let's attach this unique design to the air filter, carburetor, ductwork, exhaust manifold, all that good stuff, unique to the real truck I'm copying. Let's attach that today. Let's attach that right now. I'm going to back off on the camera a little bit. You know, if this works out, and it is going to work out, let's do it like this better. There we go. No. Let me move the keyboard out. Let's bring you down here and focus on you down here so we don't create a big mess with the focusing issues on the camera with the background I have going on right now. So what we're going to do is I went ahead and kit bashed these little parts. These are two separate pieces. There's a round cylindrical part that's going to go on top. I believe that is the drawings refer to that as an intake flange air horn. I'm not sure how right or wrong that is, but that's what I'll refer to it here. And that's going to go right here. So let's attach that with some Tamiya. We're going to let that harden. We'll come back to it so I can attach the bottom to the manifold there without popping off the joint from the top. So basically a two-part process. Now this is live on TV. I've never done this before. We're going to do this on camera. We talked about crashing and burning the other day and how we all make mistakes. But don't ever let mistakes stop you from what you're trying to do. And if you do make a mistake, if you do fall down, get yourself right back up and work on solving, not fixing. Fixing, you go back and just glob more glue on the part. That's not what I'm talking about. Work on fixing and finding a solution to why that original mistake happened and how you go about, how you're going to plan to go about correcting it. So when you do your second attempt, it's going to work. Kind of like right here. This is what AMT provided me with instead of this and other stuff that connected on there. And this is what I came up with. I had to plan. I had to realize where the mistake was, what corrections I had to do in order to do it correctly. And here it is. I hope that helps. Let's give it a shot right now. So we'll be using our trusty handy dandy Tamiya cement, extra thin. We'll be using that instead of crazy glue on this particular part because I planned ahead. The square portion that's going to attach to the top of the air filter is styrene along with the top of the air filter. Both styrene parts. So I love the weld and the bond that Tamiya extra thin gives with styrene, and I wanted to use that instead of crazy glue or even resin. I'm sorry, 5-minute epoxy. So I masked off a square when I shot this black, same size square as this size square. So when I come back and try to weld my two pieces together or dissolve the plastic together, we won't have paint interfering with the gluing process. If this takes too long to dry and to set up, then what I'll probably wind up doing, it's gonna go like that. Cool, huh? I may use crazy glue. I'm not sure yet, but what I'll probably wind up doing if it takes too long to dry and I don't want to pop off that glue joint there, is I'll do another video tomorrow down the road where the finished product is already attached. In other words, I waited a day, solid day for that to set like concrete before I attach the bottom part. There's a lot of spring tension to this. So if I attach this part, well, this part is still kind of not set, the spring action of this is gonna not make the bottom part pop off. It'll make the top part pop off. There's probably some laws of physics to that, but I couldn't tell you that. I just know that that's the way it would work because that's the way it always seems to work. Now it's set where I can let go of this part now, right about here. We're actually about 10 seconds ago. I'm going to keep my fingers on it another minute and then let go of it. But we're going to come back to that part here in about 5, 6, 7 minutes. Hopefully we can glue that bottom part right here live on, well, sort of live here on this YouTube episode. Keep in mind these videos, these tutorial videos are kind of long and boring, but that's their purpose. It's going to be a whole series of shop manuals or encyclopedias in series, in serial, you know, 1 through 10 or whatever, if you want to tackle this build and kind of attempt and start maybe practicing your patience skills. As you can see here, I'm in no hurry. I've been in no hurry. And when I got in a little bit of hurry, I started winding up with a lot of mistakes or crash and burns, as that video talked about the other day, and happy little trees. It's just the nature of the hobby. Happens to all of us. We'll come back to this part. We'll compare it to the photograph of the real thing, and you'll see how a little innovation and thinking and parts that did not come in the box, you know, out of the box thinking, out of the box parts, results in a better looking engine block, and an engine block that looks more on target with the real thing, which is what the goal here is. I'm modeling a unique C900 real rig and using the Tamiya as the base. I guess we can explain it that way. So I don't want to touch this for a while because I don't want to pop that top glue joint. I want to do it all in one take, one shot tonight on this video episode and not keep working on it, wasting time. I want to take a step forward and not 3-4 steps backwards. Remember we talked about my engine stand, what I'm using now? Solid, doesn't give. I tape the transmission down. That sucker ain't going nowhere. That's what I like. Now we can do some serious work on this puppy. Now, I didn't have to put spark plug cables on here because this part of the engine here forward is going to be buried in the cab. We're never really going to see it again. But I wanted to, if someone looks through there, I want them to see at least see the shapes of spark plug cables and other stuff, as opposed to just looking at an empty engine block. But I also didn't want to super detail this and waste time, parts, on something that's not going to be seen anyways. So I'm just doing kind of like the basic outside cosmetics, the lines to make the eye visually see what it's supposed to be. But I'm not going to get into great detail on this engine block. But I am with the rest of the build, the rig. So I got rid of all those chrome pieces. I shot all the engine in one color, and I'm really, really happy the way it came out. Really, really happy with those results. What a unique setup. It's a unique setup, and I'm super glad I went ahead and said I don't care how much work it's going to take me, or time, or even putting a stop to the project. I am going to do this correctly, and I'm really glad I went that way. Now, I had to throw away the original AMT distributor cap and the wires I had on here on the side. I had some wires for working on hot rods and stuff because I ruined it. Rushing ruined it. It was that Sunday of many happy little trees, many happy little mistakes, as Bob Ross would say. 9, 10, 11 mistakes I made in one day. Happens to all of us. So I remember I did have a spare aftermarket kit that I picked up at the hobby store here a few months ago. I was going to use for a muscle car hot rod project down the road, but I'm working on this right now and it could really use it. So I went ahead and opened up my pack and used parts by Parks, if they're still around, 1/25th scale. 1/25th scale detailing parts, pre-wired distributor kit with blue wires. I'm not going to drill out the little holes and put spark plug cable boots on there, because you're not going to see all that anyway. But I do want to mimic, of course, the spark plug cables. So that's going to allow me to keep the wire part, the black wire part, which you cut up, and that's your spark plug boots. I'll keep that for another project down the road. Here, let me put the music back. There we go. All right, get some music going here. While we're letting the glue set, let's talk about other stuff real quick and give that piece a chance for the Tamiya cement to hold. The fuel tank I mentioned before, I'm figuring out how I'm gonna go about doing that, and I kind of have an idea already on paper and stuff. I'm gonna experiment with a little bit with that before I show you guys here on video, and I'm actually gonna build that and video that process also. That fuel tank is covered throughout, almost half of its entire surface, the top part anyways, with safety diamond plate. I am going to make it out of brass. So the fuel tank will be a brass, what they call a wrapper. And I'll add the safety tread, also in brass. I do happen to have brass safety tread sections. Let me back that camera off a little bit so we can see what we're talking about. I have several types, several designs, several sizes. And I have some more lying around. I just couldn't find them for the camera today. That will be my safety tread for the top of the fuel tank. And actually it's going to wrap itself around even down the sides. So we're planning here, we're thinking, we're drawing examples. We're going to build an example. If you want to do something unique and model a unique feature of something that you're modeling, it's kind of what you're going to do. You're going to sit down on another evening and draw it out and plan it out and measure it and see what items you have or could get that will help you in that endeavor. And by no means is this a quick, easy, fast type step. There's going to be a long, slow, methodical step of building that fuel tank so it comes out right to my taste anyways, where I'm happy with it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And just as long as I'm happy with it. And that's really all that matters. But I'm not going to let the unique oddball dimensions of that fuel tank stop me. I'm stumped right now with that project, but I'm starting to crawl my way out of that hole. I've got ideas and starting to work out, and I have the material. So that is not going to defeat me. I am going to pick myself up and conquer that problem so my rig, my C900, looks just like the one in the pictures on the internet. Kind of go about tackling your problems with that type of attitude. And patience, patience, patience. I'm going to move real slow on this, and if you want it to come out right. Here's an example of the brass sheet I'm going to use for that fuel tank. No, I'm sorry, this is not the fuel tank. This is going to be the plate on top of the frame where we're going to put the fifth wheel. We're probably going to use brass 30 seconds thick. We'll cut it on my shear to shape to correct dimensions, and we'll tack it on with some 5-minute epoxy, and then we'll put the fifth wheel. Let me show you an example. It'll be something like this, and then we'll attach the fifth wheel to that, and that will go in back of on top and in back of the truck frame, just like the real one. And I got to add the tow hitch, the drop down tow hitch, which is another unique feature to this C900. But we're on our way now. We are definitely on our way. There's no more going back. No more happy little trees here. Okay, so we didn't drill out the holes for the spark plugs because we're not going to actually attach it to the spark plug boots or put them in little holes. It's not really necessary. None of that detail's ever going to be, none of this detail is really ever going to be seen. So let's just mimic the lines and the shadows in case anybody ever takes a look in there, and they're going to see that, oh, it's got spark plug cables. I already pre-measured these. See, there was one. In this particular case, it's kind of like springy, so it kind of wants to pop out. But the manifold, the exhaust manifold, is going to keep that in check. So I don't even have to really use glue. And because it is wire, I got to just kind of press down on it. And it'll take a new shape. That ain't coming out for nothing. Now, if you want to know the correct method for doing distributor caps and spark plug wires and stuff like that, there's plenty of outfits. Let me stop the music for a second. On guys that do that on YouTube, and holy smokes, they do some incredible work. If this was a hot rod engine for a model I was building, I would not be doing it this way. I'd be doing it just like if I had a real hot rod. I'd pair all those wires together and then split them off uniformly, real nice and neat. Have little brackets that connect them all together in a series of 4 like this. I would not just be on a truck, especially a delivery truck like mine, especially a budget, low-cost delivery truck like mine, bare bones. Trust me, they just plug the wires in and just let them droop wherever the hell they wanted to. I think we should go this way. Here we go. So the engine block is starting to look a hell of a lot better and different than it did originally. Just by doing simple. You know how much I paid for those spark plug wires and that distributor cap? Keep in mind, it's all metal, other than the wire, the plastic insulation, the blue part. It's a real wire inside, and the distributor cap, which has a long rod, goes into the engine block. That's aluminum, so it's actually real metal. I think it was on the discount table for like $4. So to me, well worth. I think I bought about 3 of them. I'm hoping that glue joint should be set right about now before we attach the bottom part. I don't feel too confident in that quite yet. Just probably is. Good chance it is, but let's err on the side of caution. Let's talk about something else real quick for a few minutes. Give it a few more minutes to set up, and then we're going to come back to that, and we'll end it here. Actually, if it works, we'll start painting that portion of it so you could see. Let's paint the whole thing, man. That way we'll watch the picture. But let's let it set first. So let's add about another 5 minutes to this video before we call it a day. When I bought the pieces for the diamond reel from the fellow out in Texas, the following month, I think it was, or following payday probably, he had another item that caught my eye. It was a Ford, I think they called L9000 or L900, I'm not sure. And I called it Project the Taco. Basically, it was in pieces also. And I paid way too much money for it. But I've been using pieces off of it. And I figured I wasn't never going to build it or rescue it. So I was just going to keep using the pieces and cannibalize it till it got to bare bones. And it's probably just shit can it. But I've been thinking about this all night long, and I've been watching videos on the subject all day long. I'm gonna rescue her, and I'm actually gonna do a build on her. Don't laugh, guys. So that's going to be her. She's in bad shape. Horribly painted. Looks like it was painted with a brush. Probably with crafts type paint. But that would be my next project. Most people would say, why in the world are you going to spend a lot of money and time on that? Is a piece of, just throw it away. It's done. Put it out of its misery. But exactly for those reasons, exact same reasons is why I'm going to salvage this. And I'm going to do a rescue build on this guy here. It'll be another fun build like these ones I've been doing recently, just to put a smile on my face as I work on the big projects coming up here pretty soon, the Freightliner projects. But it'll be a farm truck. There's a couple on YouTube that I have been following. So you're going to be white or yellow. That's all I'm going to say. But one is from a farm out there in Minnesota, and the other one's out from a farm, I think, in Canada. They got the two axles back here, but it's a short, stubby frame, so they kind of sit like right here. It's got a fifth wheel, and they use it on their farms. They have their farm logo on the door, and the trucks are beat to death. They are work trucks, and they are farm trucks. They're rusted and they're banged up. That caught my eye also. But those two trucks come with Detroit diesels. And they're running them around the farm, and they try to start them just before harvest season or right after winter. And they drag them around with tractors to see if they could push start them. And so I kind of fell in love with those, man. They're kind of like old beat up girls, and I remembered I had one. So we're going to do a lot of work with this, and we'll do another tutorial or shop manual series build for anyone who has an old girl, an old gal in his parts bin and kind of wants to follow along and bring your girl back to life like I'm going to bring this one back to life. It's got a nice big thick robust frame that it does have. We'll add our brass, probably build the actual brass box frame for this entire thing here. It'll be stretched out probably like about another inch, so I can add, I'm going to push these springs forward and add a second differential and spring and axle set here. So it's going to be about 2 axles right about here. Remember, it'll be stick out a little bit more, maybe ½ inch. It'll have a fifth wheel, and they're kind of like compact looking, but the both of them following on YouTube, and we'll cover that when the time comes. I'll show you the pictures and everything. I fell in love with them, and I'm going to model one or the other. She needs a lot of work, and she's going to get it. I can't wait. So I still smell glue in the air, so I think that guy is still not quite ready. But what the heck? Let's do it. Crash and burn, right, guys? Oh, here we go. Here's another thing we could kill a couple minutes with. On the C900. You know, I think I mentioned that GT Classic Plastic would love this guy just the way she looks right here. And what I did is I did lift the back up a little bit, because that's the way I like to build my models. But believe it or not, the one on the videotape we saw the other day has a higher back than the front. I watched the videos here, playback, the last couple of videos I've been putting on, especially the inspiration videos that I made the other day. And I noticed that the camera distorts it, so it looks like this is higher than it actually is. The camera kind of puts a curve to my shots. But if it's at an angle, the camera is slightly at an angle, one way or the other, it really exaggerates that curve on one end or the other. On the particular shoots I did, it exaggerated it here on the rear, so it made it look like it was really higher than actually what it is. Another thing that makes it look higher than what it is I'm just resting the cab here freestyle, and it's kind of drooping forward, as you could see, so it exaggerates it more. What I'm trying to say here is it looks like I'm going to model a cool classic lowrider show truck and stuff. That's not the intention at all. I'm just gonna model a truck exactly you see on the video. So we're gonna clean this up as the episodes go along. So she will sit like this, a lot higher, and I'll straighten out so the cab will be level in relationship to what you see on the camera, and it kind of calms that lifting part up a lot better than when I had it sitting like this. So she's going to look like $1 million, and she's going to look like the delivery rig we saw on that video. I'm tickled pink, guys. I'm really happy with the direction this guy right here is going. Well, I think it's time. Crash and burn. You know what? Let me get rid of these things so they're not in the view of the camera. Oops, I just dropped the cab. That's probably another piece I'm gonna have to glue back together again, but that's fine. All right. Okay, look, let's give it a shot. I stripped paint down to the bare styrene and the 2 contact points where this thing's gonna attach to. The back of this thing here has also been stripped of paint, so just bare styrene. I want to go ahead and use the Tamiya extra thin, so it melts the 2 styrene pieces together. It's not gonna set as fast as the super glue or the CA or the 5-minute epoxy. So rather than stand here and hold it with my finger, which I'm going to do anyways, I'm going to see what I could use to keep it there so I can remove my finger. And yeah, it's set up pretty good. I'm thinking